We've been to other family camps, and this one's different because it has Madonna House behind it.
There's so many families that are having divorce and broken families and all the rest, and so it's a natural that Madonna House, which has such a strong spiritual base, should minister to families.
Welcome to our parent conference for Cana. It's a good time for you to be able to connect with one another and have a chance to feel supported by one another. And way back in the early 50s, the Pope said to Catherine Doherty, don't forget the families, because they are going to be under attack. And that's probably never been truer than it is in this day and age. And that's one of the reasons why we continue. For over 50 years we've been doing Cana. And it's just a treasured part of Madonna House. And part of the reason why is Catherine always felt that the family itself is a small domestic church. And they need to be that small church within themselves. And so Cana, it's only 6 weeks a year, but it's our opportunity to really give families that spirituality and sharing that part of our life.
They live a poverty, and it makes it okay to realize that you can live a poverty also. Even though we have an incredibly advanced world, that there's a simple way of life to be lived, the life of Nazareth, and that God can be found in that and happiness can be found in that.
I see the star, see the rolling thunder, light out the universe display.
Catherine said once, I know what it is, how much it costs, she said, to form a natural family, and also to form what it costs to form a spiritual family. It's a great cost to form both, and so we like to let the families touch our family, Madonna House, by coming here and experiencing our life, our spirituality, and what we have to offer them to live out in their homes.
Become a new creation. Now, Catherine called that Sobornos. Sobornos is a unity, an indestructible unity, which exists within the Holy Trinity, and which should exist within us, and which should exist within a marriage. But the cost of Sobornos is living the gospel without compromise, and it's a lifetime process. A vocation, she said.
Cana is no easy experience when you embrace it, simply because you usually have to clear out something that's in there that shouldn't be and place myself on a different path.
After the Congress in '51, Catherine begins the first, what she called Cana Colony, which is a retreat for families, in the summer of 1952. And she calls it Cana because of the wedding feast at Cana, where the Lord changes water into wine and blesses that marriage feast that he was at.
Catherine came out to each one of those Cana weeks that we would have, and she would give a talk. And what she would speak to people about was marriage, which she called a glorious, but also the hardest of vocations. And of course, when she's speaking out of her experience, a big part of it is her marriage with Eddie Doherty. Eddie was a dearly beloved man, not just to her, but to the whole community. And to some extent, he really taught her a lot about love.
Eddie started out as a friend and gradually became more and more a real confidant and support to Catherine. She could relax with him in a way that she couldn't relax with anyone else. And slowly she began to confide in him about the things that she was struggling with in Harlem. In May of 1947, Eddie and Catherine decide to go up to Cumbermere, this little cottage that they have, basically to retire. They think that their active life in the US is over, and they're going to Canada to just maybe write some books, chop some wood, but they're not thinking at all of continuing Friendship House in any shape or form. And very slowly, people start wanting to come and spend some time there. And very slowly, very gradually, this little community started forming and shaping. And so from that point on, they separate. And Catherine says in one of her diaries that from that moment on, she and Eddie knew a union like they had never known before. And it was as if that choice to separate and become celibate and sacrifice their marital relationship created a fruitfulness that went beyond anything they had expected.
The spirituality that we live in Madonna House, we consider a Nazareth spirituality. Nazareth was the place where the Holy Family dwelled together. And we know that the spirituality that we live as a family, all of us, can be shared among any family anywhere, and that whole background of doing ordinary, simple little things with great love is a very, very holy task and a very holy vocation, you know, and ultimately that's the vocation.
I wasn't Catholic when I first came to Cana, but I was made so welcome. I was really made so welcome. And it was an eye-opener to see these families that were really living their faith in a very inspiring way with lots of children and loving each other and their children so much. It was very special.
There's a peacefulness and grace that comes living this life of Nazareth that Madonna House lives. And if, you know, we can be that safe haven and yet live that peace and grace of Nazareth in our families, then they go out into the world and just bring that into society, into the world.